Here we go. Mixed numbers. What is a mixed number? You've seen mixed numbers before. Mixed numbers are something like 1 and 1/2, 14 and 2/3, 6 and 1/3. Okay? A mixed number has a whole number and a fraction. A whole number and a fraction, a whole number and a fraction. They are together. Okay? Now mixed numbers come from improper fractions. So we have something like 5/4. This is 1 and 1/4. That's where it comes from. These two things equal each other. So, how do we know it's a mixed number now. How do we switch between an improper fraction and a mixed number? Well, I'll show you. What we do is a simple division problem, okay? So we're going to go from improper fraction, let's do 7/4, to a mixed number. So we're going to ask ourselves, how many times does 4 go into 7? Well, 4 can go into 7 one time. We leave the denominator the same, and we're going to put our remainder up here in the numerator. How do we find a remainder? Well, 4 times 1 is 4, and 7 minus 4 is 3. So we have 1 3/4. Now, if that was a little difficult to understand, let me show it to you in a simpler way. This is like saying 4 goes into 7. 4 goes into 7 one time. 4 times 1 is 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. So, remainder 3. Here, this goes into the denominator. This becomes our whole number. And our remainder becomes our numerator. Okay? Now, I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and do another example with you. Let's do 5/3. So, 3 goes into 5 one time. My denominator stays the same. And what's my remainder? 3 times 1 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. So 1 2/3. Now, how do we switch back? Let's make some space here. I ran out of space. How do we switch back from a mixed number to an improper fraction? Well, it's pretty simple. Actually, it's easier than making a mixed number out of improper fraction. It's easier to go back. So let's say we have 2 2/3. What you're going to do is you're going to put a little multiplication and a little addition, okay? And you're going to say 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. That becomes my numerator, and my denominator stays the same. So one more time, we'll do it with another one. 4 1/7. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 1 is 29, and my denominator stays the same. Okay? Now we can take a look at how to add mixed numbers. So mixed numbers have, like I told you before, a whole number, right, and a fraction with it. So it has a whole and a part of another part. And let me zoom in here. When we're going to add them, it's almost like we have to take an inventory and separate the whole numbers from the fractions themselves. So here we have 2 1/5. I like to line them up this way, just so it's easy. So I'm going to kind of draw, you know what, let me do it in another color for you. I'm going to draw a line here to separate the whole number from the fractions. Okay? So as we're adding, we're going to put the whole numbers on one side and the fractions on the other. So here we have 2 1/5. And here we're going to put 6/7. There is no whole number, there's only fraction. So I'm going to put it on this side. And I'm going to add it. Okay? So I'm going to always start over here on my far right hand side because that's how I always add. Nothing new there. And it looks like we have to just add 2 fractions. Well, we know how to add fractions, right? It's just 1/5 plus 6/7. All right, so we're going to multiply each side by each other so we can give them the same denominator. And this becomes 7/35 plus 30/35. And that equals 37/35. Well, wait a second, this is an improper fraction. Well, let's rewrite it as an improper fraction. 35 goes into 37 one time. We have a remainder of 2, and our denominator stays the same. So now, we're going to carry, just like we do in regular addition, we're going to carry this whole number over to the whole number side. Okay? And we're going to put our results here, our sum, right in our sum part. Now 1 plus 2, we're going to add that 1 that was carried over plus that 2 that was already there, and we're going to get 3. So this is 3 and 2/35. So just to kind of recap, we set things up like this so that the fractions and the whole numbers are in separate sides. We add the fractions first. We always start with the fractions. We add them first. And then whatever we have left over, like let's say our fractions add up to become an improper fraction, that's totally okay. We make it a mixed number and we add the whole number over to our whole number side. Okay, let's give another one a try. As a matter of fact, why don't you give this one a try on your own? Remember to separate the fraction and the whole number, and I'll go over it with you in just a second. Okay, I hope you got it. If not, don't worry, we'll go over it now real quick. So I'm going to do 6 2/3. I'm going to separate them with my line again, just so you can see it. And so 6 2/3 and 1/4. Now I'm going to add them. I'm going to start with the fraction side, and I'm going to do 2/3 plus 1/4. I'm going to multiply by each other on each side. This becomes 8/12 plus 3/12. And that equals 11/12. Okay, so this is not an improper fraction. This is just a regular fraction, so I can just put it here completely normal. Awesome. And 6 plus 0, because there's nothing else to add to it, is just 6. So my answer to this one is 6 and 11/12. Okay, hope you got that. Let's keep going. Now we have a subtraction problem. Now we know with fractions, the rules are the same. The denominator always has to stay the same. So we're going to do this exact same thing with this one, okay? So I'm going to give you a chance to give this one a try. Set it up just the same way you set up the addition problem. whole numbers on one side, fractions on the other side, and then subtract them. So I'm going to give you a chance to give it a try, and then I'll go over it in just a second. Okay, here we go. I hope you got it. I'm going to go ahead and work it out with you. So this time, I'm not going to draw the line for you. I'm just going to work it out and separate them regularly. So 9 and 2/8, 7 and 3/4, and we're subtracting these. Now we have 2/8 minus 3/4. Okay? Now here, what I can do is multiply this side by 2 to make it 8. I don't have to multiply them by each other. Okay? So 2/8 minus 6/8. Well, wait a second. 6 is too big. We're going to get a negative here. Okay, what do? Well, we can borrow from the whole number side. So when we borrow from the whole number side, this becomes an 8, and we're adding a 1 to the 2/8. Sorry, not to this, to the 2/8. So 1 plus 2/8. Okay? Now, again, we have to give them the same denominator. This is 1/1 because any whole number is just over 1. And we're going to multiply by 8 to give them the same denominator. So this gives us 8/8 plus 2/8, which is equal to 10/8. So now that we have this new fraction, let's replace our 2/8 with 10/8. Okay? So 10/8 minus 6/8. 10 minus 6 is 4/8. Can we simplify this? Yes, we can. We can divide the top and the bottom by 4. And that actually gives us 1/2. So here we have 1/2 for the fraction side. Now, this, remember, became an 8. So we're going to do 8 minus 7 is 1. So this equals 1 and 1/2. So that was a tricky one, so don't feel bad if you didn't get it. We hadn't borrowed before. Not a big deal. Go ahead and give the next one a try. I hope you got it. Let me go ahead and go over it with you. So we have 7 and 3/5. Oops. Minus 4 and 3/10. All right, well, let's subtract these. 3/5 minus 3/10. We always start with the fraction. Here we can make this 5 into a 10, so if we actually multiply this side by 2, we'll get the same denominator. So there's no need to multiply them by each other. So this gives us 6/10, and we bring down that 3/10. 6/10 minus 3/10 is 6 minus 3, so 3/10. Now this one was great. We didn't have to borrow, okay? So 3/10 for our fraction side. And now 7 minus 4 is 3. So the answer to this one is 3 and 3/10. Okay. Now let's look at some multiplication. My recommendation for multiplication is to always make them improper fractions before multiplying them. Now remember, we make mixed numbers into improper fractions by adding a little multiplication sign here and a little plus sign here. Multiplication sign here and a plus sign here. So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. And we're multiplying this. 10 times 2 is 20. 10 times 2 is 20, plus 3 is 23. Oops. And a little issue there. Over 10. Okay? So now we're going to multiply these two. Let's do 23 times 8, because that's a little tough. 8 times 3 is 4. Carry the 2. 16 plus 2 is 18. So we have 184 over 50. Now before we make this into a mixed number, can we simplify this number? Well, yes, they are actually both even numbers, so that means we can divide each of them by 2. So let's do 184. Let's work this one out. So 2 goes into 18 9 times. 2 times 9 is 18. 18 minus 18 is 0. Bring down the 4. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 4 minus 4 is 0. There we go. So this is 92. And 50 divided by 2, I'll work it out for you. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. We bring down that 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 10 minus 10 is 0. So 92 over 25. These are no longer both even numbers, so we can't divide them by 2. So let's go ahead and make these a mixed number, or make this a mixed number. So let's do 25 goes into 92, right? So 25 goes into 92 3 times. 25 times 3 is 75. Here we have to borrow because that 5 is way too big. 12 minus 5 is 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. So this is 3. We remember the remainder in the numerator. 17 over 25. Okay? Awesome. Go ahead and give number 6 a try before we do number 7 with some division. I'll give you just 1 second, and then I'll go over it with you. Okay, so remember, first step, turn this into an improper fraction. So we're going to multiply it, and we're going to add it. 9 times 6 is 54, plus 4 is 58 over 9. And 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 is 9 over 7. So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you a little trick here. This becomes 58 times 9 over 9 times 7. Well, when we have something that's the same in the top and bottom, like the 9, we can actually cross them out. Okay? When we do that, 9 divided by 9 is 1. 9 divided by 9 is 1. Sorry about that. 58 times 1 is 58. 1 times 7 is 7. That's how I got these numbers. Just in case I lost you there, I just want to make sure you're not confused. But when we do this, we actually save ourselves the steps of simplifying afterwards. So we're multiplying like this when we set things up in this stage. We can see if there's anything that can be eliminated. Okay? I'm going to show you one more. So like let's say it's 4 over 9 times 3 over 2. Here there's nothing necessarily the same on the top and the bottom, but the 4 and the 2 can both be divided by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And the 3 and the 9 can both be divided by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now I can multiply. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. And we get 2/3. Now, we could have just multiplied this regular. Let me show you again. 4 times 3 is 12. 9 times 2 is 18. And then we would have simplified by dividing on the top and the bottom by 6. We would get 2 over 3. We would have gotten the same thing. However, we skipped a step, right? We saved ourselves a step by dividing by 6. I'm sorry, not here. By doing this over here. Okay? So if that made sense, I encourage you to use that shortcut just because it's going to save you a lot of time. If not, don't worry. We'll just do it the traditional way and I'll go over each step with you if that makes it easier for you. But let's come back over here. We have 58 over 7. So this is not quite finished. An improper fraction is actually not the simplest form of a fraction. So the way to make this completely finished is to turn it into a mixed number, which means we need to divide. So 7 goes into 58. Well, 7 goes into 58 8 times because 7 times 8 is 56. And that leaves us with a remainder of 2. So my whole number is 8. My denominator stays the same, so it's 7. And my remainder, or my numerator, is now 2. Okay? So that's our answer. Okay. I hope that made sense. Now, when we are dividing fractions, or specifically mixed numbers, once again, we're going to turn them into improper fractions and then do the operation. Okay? So here, we're going to do 8 times 2 plus 7. So 8 times 2 is 16, plus 7 is 23. Divided by 8 times 6 is 48, plus 5 is 53 over 8. Now remember, when we're dividing with fractions, we actually take the second fraction and we flip it, and we multiply the two fractions. Now here we notice there's the same top and bottom. So let's divide by 8. That gives us 1. That gives us 1. And 23 times 1 is 23. 1 times 53 is 53. Now, can we simplify this? The answer is no. This is actually the simplest form, and that is our answer. Okay? Okay, I want to encourage you to give this one a try. I'll give you just a couple seconds to work it out. If you want to hit pause, you're more than welcome to, and then I'll work it out with you. Okay, I hope you got it. If not, don't worry, I'll work it out with you now. So, remember, we turn them into improper fractions, which means we multiply and we add. So 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22, and this is over 3. 12 times 2 is 24, plus 5 is 29, and that's 29 over 12. And we're dividing these, which means we're going to take the second one and we're going to flip it to multiply. So 22 over 3 times 12 over 29. Well, we don't have anything identical on the top and the bottom, but we have this 12 and this 3, which we can divide both of them by 3. So let's do it. Divide this one by 3, you get 1. You divide this one by 3 and you get 4. So 22 times 4 is 88 over 29. So, can we simplify this? Well, we can't simplify by dividing the top and the bottom by the same number because 29 is a prime number, which means it can't be divided by any number other than 1 in itself. But we can simplify this by turning it into a mixed number. So let's do 29 into 88. Well, 29 goes into 88. I want to say twice. Let me work it out here for you. 29 times 2. Oh no, I can do 3 times. Sorry about that. Let's try 3. 3 times 9 is 7. Carry the 2 because it's 27. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So it is 3. 29 times 3 is 87. 88 minus 87 is 1. So our answer is 3 and 1/29. Okay? I hope that made sense to you. I hope you got it. If not, hit rewind and review whatever it is you still don't understand. If you like daily questions, join us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you'd like to know more about our free ASVAB events, text @ASVAB free to 81010. Good luck as you study for the ASVAB.